So let's switch tack. You and I are now at an age where we can say, in many ways, our longest years are behind us. We've been very fortunate.
Our best years are still ahead. Even if we're over the hump, so to speak.
But I think it's fair to say. I think it is fair to say we've got kids of an age. We would like to think that they'd have the opportunities and the freedoms that we've had, living standards like ours. I'm not so sure. Let's explore some of the challenges they face in the context of what we've said, because they are going to have to be people, I think, of wisdom and character and courage if they're to secure their own future. So my personal view is that the West is in a very, very bad state, but that Australia is one of the few Western countries that ought to be able to say its best days are still in front of it. We're a young and energetic people. Our best days ought to be in front of us.
I agree.
But are they?
Well, look,
likely to be?
I'm optimistic, John. I think that in the end, the better angels of our nature will prevail. I am, I guess, just inherently optimistic because, again, if you look at the history, bad times always pass. And at the end of the bad times, we usually have learnt some important lessons which we put to good use, and there are better times. So look, I'm optimistic, but there are obvious problems. At a trivial level, there's the kind of, I suppose, snake pit of Canberra. At a more serious level, there's the debt and deficit problem, which we don't show any real appetite to fix. There's the conflict between environmental and economic desiderata, which I think is very serious. There are some environmental costs to much that is economically desirable, and yet if we do not sustain a strong economy, we cannot go forward as a people. Ultimately, we cannot even protect the environment if we don't have a strong economy as well. So these are big challenges that we need to come better to grips with in the years ahead than we have in the recent past. Now, all of us would like to reduce emissions, but reducing emissions at the cost of people's jobs, reducing emissions if it means putting people's cost of living through the roof, reducing emissions if it means deindustrialising our country, particularly given that we could have zero emissions here in Australia and just 1 year's of emission, one year's worth of emissions increase in China will completely obliterate any emissions reduction here. Look, there's a lack of logic, there's a perversity about all of this, and I think we have to tackle
lack of logic worries me. So does what I think is the underlying problem that allows that lack of logic, which is selfishness. Let me put it this way.
Or a misguided idealism, because the people who loudly protest against coal mines or gas drilling or whatever it might be, they think they are doing it for the right reasons. I don't for a second doubt their idealism. I just think that it is going to end up doing vastly more harm than good, and people need to understand that all of the things that we take for granted in a country like Australia require energy, affordable, reliable energy. You've got to have a mining industry if you're going to have a modern standard of living. So all of these efforts to curtail them or even to close them are ultimately incredibly counterproductive.